You think you are in control. You believe the thoughts in your head, the desires you feel, and the choices you make are entirely your own. But ask yourself, how long can you go before checking to see if you have new notifications? You reach for your phone the moment you wake up in the morning, and it is the very last thing you look at right before you go to bed. This is not an accident, and it is certainly not a coincidence. You are tethered to a machine that is quietly, subtly shaping who you are. On average, you will spend nearly 2 hours every single day scrolling, a habit that will consume more than 5 years of your lifetime. If you are younger, that number could easily double or triple, silently draining decades of your potential. You are not just passing time, you are participating in the most sophisticated psychological experiment in human history, and you never even realized you signed up. We call it connection, but it is actually extraction. Social media is a completely new market in our economy, one that has never been seen before in human history. You are not buying a physical product, your attention is what is being sold. Everything you do online is being watched, tracked, and monitored. The invisible web of control is tightening around you, built entirely on data. They know what image you stop to look at, and exactly how many seconds you spend lingering on a post. They know your personality type, your deepest insecurities, and exactly what emotions tend to trigger you. How did we get here? It all starts with artificial intelligence and the engineers behind these algorithms. We often imagine artificial intelligence as some futuristic threat, but the reality is that complex algorithms are already categorized as a form of intelligence, and they get smarter every single day. You are essentially giving these computers a goal, and they are independently learning how to achieve it, advancing exponentially until they are nearly out of our control. Imagine a control room filled with engineers hunched over desks, adjusting tiny dials that will successfully steer the thoughts and feelings of a billion people. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, explains that these systems are not designed to help us. They are designed to bring out the worst in society simply to keep you engaged. As he famously pointed out, if you are not paying for the product, then you are the product. These platforms operate with 3 primary, unrelenting goals. First, engagement, keeping you scrolling for as long as humanly possible. Second, growth, manipulating you into pulling your friends and family into the exact same trap. And third, advertising, ensuring that while they track your every move, they are extracting as much profit from your captured attention as they possibly can. It is a system driven by math, and you are simply a variable in their equation. To keep you captive, these platforms must bypass your logic and directly hack your biology. They poke and prod your psychological buttons again and again, often without you even realizing it. Dr. Lembke from Stanford University explains this perfectly. Human beings have a basic biological imperative to connect with other people, which directly triggers the release of dopamine in our brain's reward pathway. Millions of years of human evolution built this exact system to help us survive, to find communities, and to live together. But modern social media hijacks this ancient survival mechanism to optimize addiction. The platforms tap into your cognitive vulnerabilities. Because your attention is a limited resource, your brain has a specialized network designed to alert you to urgent threats and opportunities. Social media creates artificial urgency through notifications, vibrations, red dots, and flashing banners that constantly trigger this network. You are manipulated into a state of constant seeking, driven by features like the infinite scroll that provide unpredictable, endless rewards. Neurologically speaking, the brain circuit involved in wanting something is vastly more powerful than the circuit involved in actual satisfaction. That is the trap. You are left endlessly hungry, endlessly swiping, but you are never truly full. Even the people who designed these systems admit that knowing how the tricks work does not stop them from falling victim to the endless scroll. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for willpower and cognitive control, is simply outmatched by supercomputers designed to undermine your focus. The consequence of this biological hacking is a profound emotional toll. To keep you engaged, the system cannot feed you calm, rational truth. It must feed you pure, unfiltered emotion. Our brains use helpful shortcuts to navigate a complex world, paying more attention to fearful or dangerous stimuli to keep us safe. The algorithms know this. They know that negative information gets more attention and shapes your behavior much more powerfully than positive information does. Therefore, social media content that generates fear, anger, or disgust sees dramatically higher engagement and spreads much more quickly. This is not an accident. It is emotional manipulation weaponized at scale. Because people are far more likely to accept misinformation when they are in an emotional state, you are constantly bombarded with outrage. Researchers at MIT discovered that fake news on platforms like Twitter spreads 6 times faster than true news. False information and emotional manipulation come with terrifying ease because they exploit the very things that make us human. As a result, we are all operating on completely different sets of facts, trapped in isolated echo chambers where we only encounter information that reinforces our existing beliefs. We fall victim to confirmation bias, actively ignoring evidence that contradicts what we already favor, and aggressively defending our curated worldviews. We are losing our ability to think independently. We are reacting purely on engineered instinct, nudged by a machine that knows exactly how to make us angry. This constant, invisible manipulation fundamentally alters human behavior, leaving behind a fragile, anxious, and deeply lonely society. Even when surrounded by thousands of virtual friends, you have likely never felt more isolated. You are forced to constantly compare yourself to others, viewing highly curated images of perceived perfection that trigger deep biological feelings of social exclusion and rejection. Our brains actually process social rejection and physical pain using some of the exact same neural pathways. When you feel left out online, your brain processes it as actual physical trauma. For younger generations, whose brains are still actively developing, the consequences of this digital overstimulation are utterly devastating. Behavioral experts and psychologists like Jonathan Haidt have highlighted a terrifying increase in depression and anxiety among teens that correlates perfectly with the rise of social media. Teens who spend more than 5 hours a day on their phones are twice as likely to show depressive symptoms and face significantly higher risks of suicidal thoughts. We have traded our peace of mind for short-term signals of validation, likes, shares, and comments that heavily conflict with our true self-worth. You are overstimulated, emotionally numb, and completely dependent on the very device that is draining your energy. When you feel uncomfortable or anxious, your phone becomes your immediate escape. But instead of offering comfort, it merely injects more noise into an already exhausted mind. We are living in an era of unprecedented technological power. As Dr. Robert Epstein, a Harvard-trained psychologist, discovered in his research, a handful of people in Silicon Valley hold the power to shift the opinions and behaviors of millions without anyone even realizing they are being manipulated. The invisible algorithms act as the ultimate gatekeepers of human knowledge and perception. But you are not entirely powerless. The first step to escaping a cage is realizing that you are actually in one. You can break the cycle, but it requires conscious awareness and an intentional rejection of the system. When you eliminate the chaotic noise of social media, you reclaim your ability to focus on what actually matters. You must learn to watch your own behavior without assuming you are fully in control. Notice how you feel when you reach for the screen. Notice the anxiety. Notice the urge to escape into the infinite scroll. Understand that your mind is being harvested and your attention is being sold to the highest bidder. By stepping away, rebuilding your attention span, and drastically reducing your daily digital stimulation, you strip the algorithm of its power over you. You begin to use technology as a conscious, intentional tool rather than an automatic, subconscious reflex. You can stop staring at your phone during the quiet moments of your life and start sharing real laughs with the people you hold dear. The screen in your hand is a doorway to infinite knowledge, but it is also a mirror perfectly designed to trap your reflection. They have spent billions of dollars and employed the greatest minds of our generation just to keep your eyes locked on the glass. You can choose to remain the product. You can let your emotions be harvested. You can let your worldview, your anxieties, and your desires be carefully curated by invisible lines of code. Or you can look up. You can embrace the silence. You can take your mind back. But perhaps, what do you think?